When Brawl Stars first came out, it was considered to be extremely pay to win because much of the progression depended on how much money you were willing to spend. This obviously made a lot of players unhappy and the game was possibly at risk of being shut down. But almost 6 years later, the game is still very alive and even considered Supercell's least pay to win game. So, how did they manage to save the game and completely flip it from pay to win to free to play? Well, in this video, we will be going over everything Supercell has done to save the game, but first, we have to go over what exactly made the game super pay to win in the first place. The biggest issue with the game when it first came out was the Brawl boxes. These boxes were basically the only way to progress in the game and get brawlers, coins, and power points. The problem, however, was that these boxes were hard to get if you weren't willing to spend a lot of money on them. This system heavily favored people willing to pay as they could get new brawlers and level them up much faster and way more easily than the free-to-play players. And this in itself wouldn't be a big problem if the matchmaking was good. But unfortunately, the matchmaking could be very unfair at points where it would put free-to-play players with weaker and lower level brawlers against the pay-to-win players who had the best brawlers already and had leveled them up. And this is a very similar situation compared to the current state of Clash Royale, which I have a whole video on if you want to check it out after this one. But unlike Clash Royale, there is still a chance that the free-to-play could win the fight based on pure skill. But it was still an unfair matchup and relying on skill to beat pay to win wouldn't be a viable long-term strategy. So, what all did they do to fix this? Well, the first massive change they did was introduce the Brawl Pass in May of 2020. This essentially changed the progression system and made it way more free-to-play friendly. In the past, you would have to use your tokens to buy the Brawl boxes in order to get brawlers, in which you wouldn't know what you were getting or if you would even get a new brawler. But in the Brawl Pass, you would use those tokens to progress through the tiers which gave gems, power points, boxes, credits, skins, and much more. This made it much easier for players to progress, and what really helped make it more free to play was that players could earn enough gems from the free pass to get the paid version every other season. This basically just sped up progression so much more compared to the old system for free players. And on top of this, in the same update, quests were also introduced which let free to play players earn way more tokens than they previously could have, and this just helped the progression of the Brawl Pass and basically guaranteed anyone would be able to complete it and get all the rewards. The next big thing was the Club League. This was basically like the Clan War League in Clash of Clans. Players could compete in this with their club, and based on their performance, they would either get promoted, demoted, or just stay in the same league. And all players will get club coins for participating, which could then be used to buy things in the club shop that helped speed up progression, and this was a fun way for free-to-play players to progress faster. The number of coins you got was cut in half in 2023, but it was still a very good feature before the nerf. The next thing was the gear rework in October of 2022. This removed gear tokens, gear scraps, and gear levels, and instead replaced them with different gears of different rarities, similar to how the brawlers are. They now come in 3 rarities which are super rare, epic, and mythic. They also added a couple of new gears and made it so that all gears could simply be bought with coins, which really helped make the game more free to play as everyone had much easier access to these gears and also didn't have to worry about leveling them up. This sped progression up a lot as well, as free-to-play players were able to compete better with their new power-ups, and this led to more rewards. The next, and maybe the biggest change, was that Supercell got rid of Brawl boxes completely. This happened in December of 2022, and the game saw a massive rise in players after the update. Supercell got rid of the boxes and instead added a new way for players to get brawlers. This was through credits for normal brawlers and chromatic credits for chromatic brawlers. These credits are obtainable through many ways, including the Brawl Pass and Trophy Road, which is good for free to play as anyone can easily progress through those without having to pay. This also lets the player choose which brawler they want to unlock instead of the old system with the boxes where it's completely random what you received. Players can also use gems to just directly buy brawlers or power points instead of buying boxes in hopes of getting them. So this was also kind of a win for pay-to-win players. And on top of all of this, the power points now could be used for all brawlers instead of being available to a specific one. Gadgets, star powers, and gears are also able to be bought with credits now once the brawler reaches a certain level. This has definitely been the biggest change that really helped out the free-to-play aspect of the game, since it got rid of the main thing that pay-to-win players could abuse, which were the boxes. This is because it was random what you got, and statistically whoever can get more boxes will get the better result and will be ahead by a lot. Though you can also argue that this update makes pay to win even better because players can now just buy everything directly instead of having to rely on some luck with loot boxes. But what made pay to win OP at the beginning was that they were just way further ahead of free to play players and could win even if they were a lot worse skill wise compared to a free player. Now with the changes, it puts both at a much more even playing field because free players can max out a lot faster and makes the competition more about skill than money compared to what it was a few years ago. But the changes don't end there. In April of 2023, Bling was also introduced, and this is a currency that is used to buy skins and other in-game cosmetic items. And while this obviously doesn't directly help with progression, it helps free-to players get skins and just feel a lot better and make them more willing to play the game, because they can now get skins more easily compared to when the only way to get them was basically just paying for it or having to wait for a free one you could earn. This did indirectly help progression though, because instead of spending gems and money on skins, players could instead use Bling and use the gems for other things that would help with progression. Now, the latest thing they introduced were the star drops in June of 2023. This one, however, is quite controversial. Some people say it helps free to play while others say it hurts them. Star drops basically were kind of like a replacement to the Brawl boxes, but instead of buying them, you got them from winning games. They come in 5 rarities and you can receive almost all items in the game from them, with the main exceptions being chromatic brawlers, gems, and legendary and mythic skins. With this update, however, rewards from other parts of the game were nerfed, such as the club coin nerf that I mentioned earlier and some nerfs to the Brawl Pass rewards, mainly the credits. So people argue whether or not this has been beneficial to free-to-play players or not, and the answer is it depends. According to this video by Mekotis, it seems like casual free-to-play players see a big benefit from this, but active players see a big nerf. So it really depends on what type of player you are, but a majority of the Brawl Star player base is casual players, so overall I think it has been beneficial, but the active players would obviously disagree. So throughout the last 3 to 4 years, Supercell has introduced many features and made many balanced updates that have helped save the game and converted it from a majorly pay-to-win game to a free-to-play game. This has helped the game reach new heights and make it one of Supercell's most loved games, when just a few years ago, it was disliked by many.